Today's chapter starts, and we see that Vihang was looking very handsome on top of the mountain, and Aoning was cheering for him a lot from below, after which Vihang looks at him, and immediately starts coming down, where Aoning was running towards him, because he wanted to reach him first. And we see that Vihang's fans had already reached him, so Aoning thinks I will go later. Here, we see that Vihang's partner also comes and starts praising him. Vihang also praises him. Then both of them talk, and Vihang's assistant leaves from there, after which we see that Aoning comes to Vihang and gives him water to drink. Vihang drinks the water, then he also asks Aoning, "Do you want to drink?" Aoning refuses, so Vihang says, "I'm going to wash my hands with this water, so you will not be able to drink it." On which Aoning says, "Okay, you can wash," and then he himself takes the bottle and starts washing Vihang's hands. And he was staring at him. Both of them wanted to talk. Then we see here he was about to say that when you were climbing the mountain, you were looking quite cool. But before he could complete his sentence, we see that Bao comes there, and he himself says you were looking very cool. And he comes between both of their talks, and poor Aoning is not able to continue his sentence. Here we again see Bao, who is complimenting Vihang a lot. Then Sengen comes there and says, "Why are you so obsessed with handsome boys?" And we see Sengen and Bao start arguing again as usual, and Aoning and Vihang are watching them. Then Aoning's eyes fall. That Vihang is injured, so he gets quite scared, and immediately holds his hand and says, "Did you get hurt? Why did you not tell me?" And he immediately looks at his hand and says, "I will have to apply medicine on it." Then he realizes that he has held Vihang's hands without his permission. Both of them start looking at each other, and Aoning thinks, "Since when have I become so bold that I silently held his hands? I cannot even talk to him properly, and I held his hands." Now, Aoning immediately lets go of Vihang's hand with a jerk, and says, "I will bring bandage for you." Where we see Vihang had now started smiling, and tells him, "I'm not feeling any pain at all." In the meantime, all the friends start talking to each other. Then Aoning asks him how did it feel after reaching the top of the mountain. Then we see that suddenly Vihang starts moving close to Aoning. On this, Aoning gets scared and asks what happened. Then Vihang points towards his glasses and says, "There is dust on them." This time Aoning immediately takes them off to clean. And Vihang tells him, "When I'm coming down, do not come near me, otherwise dust will fall on you." And he immediately takes out a piece of his hairband and gives it to Aoning, and tells him clean it with this. Aoning gets quite surprised because we see Vihang had given him a piece of his cloth. Now, in the next scene, we see Aoning, who is running out from there because the poor guy got stuck in traffic. And he also had to go to teach his student. And we see he reaches the mother of his student while running, where that lady says, "You do not need to worry if you get a little late. It is fine." But then his student starts saying, "Oh, frog face, do you know my mom had to leave her appointment and come here so that she could drop me to you?" On which his mom tells him, "You feeling like getting beaten? I have told you not to talk to elders like this." And that child was not going to listen at all, and Aoning had already got used to it. After which, in the next scene, we see Aoning who is teaching that child, but his attention is not at all on that child. Where that child asks, "What were you doing since morning?" But Aoning was lost in thoughts of Vihang. So that child shouts, "I asked what were you doing since morning?" And Aoning gets scared. And that child says, "What are you thinking?" On which Aoning thinks, now what should I tell? And he says, "Even if I tell, you will not understand." And he asks him, "So tell me what you are not understanding in studies." On this, the child says, "I do not understand anything. The studies and all is useless. I do not want to become a good student." On which Aoning asks him why. After all, why do you not want to study? And why do you not want to become a good student? On which that boy says, "Because good students do not get girlfriends. They always remain busy in studies only." Here, the cute smile on Aoning's face suddenly disappears, and he thinks this small packet is opening the doti, and he immediately tells him, "How do you know that I do not have a girlfriend? And do you not think you are quite small for all these things?" Then that child's eyes fall on Aoning's hands, where a piece of hairband is tied. And he says you have a girlfriend. After all, who gave this to you? On which Aoning gets scared and steps back and says, "Stop your nonsense. I do not have any girlfriend," on which that child says, "I already knew that. That is why I do not want to study." And then he immediately says, "If I do not study like this and remain a bad student, then I will get a lot of girlfriends." And Aoning again starts thinking, this is a big blast in the name of small packet. Now, the next scene shows us Aoning's home, where poor Aoning is trying to sleep. But that child's words are roaming in his entire mind, that he does not have any girlfriend, and the poor guy is not able to sleep. And the next day, he thinks, because of that child, I did not get any sleep at all. And then we see he came with his friends to eat. Then those people notice that Vihang had not come there today either. But Vihang had asked Aoning about attendance. So Aoning had said, "Do not worry, I will make it." And he asks him, "Why did you not come today after all?" On which Vihang tells that I was sleeping and I could not wake up, because of which Aoning starts laughing. Seeing Aoning smiling, his friend asks him, "Aoning, everything fine above. Why are you showing teeth without any reason?" On which Aoning says, laughing, "There is nothing." Then we see Bao gets quite worried and he shouts, "Aoning, one more new gossip has spread in our school." On which Aoning asks him now what happened. On which Bao tells that now gossip is spreading in school that a lady from a very rich family is supporting a boy. She is sponsoring him, and those people start talking that some child of the school is taking advantage of a rich lady. And as soon as Aoning sees that lady, he gets quite surprised, because this lady is his student's mom. Here Aoning starts getting very angry, knowing this, that people are saying cheap things about her without knowing her. So he starts defending her and he gets quite worried that now how will he handle this situation, and thinks it is good that Miss Kyan cannot see this. If she sees this message, she would feel very bad. Now, in the next scene, we see Aoning is leaving from there. Then a guy bumps into him, and Aoning's phone falls. As soon as Aoning turns and looks towards him, he gets quite scared. And we see that boy who was none other than that pervert who used to peep into girls' washroom and install cameras and all. Aoning also immediately recognizes him. Here we see Aoning, who is thinking, did he bump into me on purpose? And he starts looking at his phone, which had broken. Then we see Lady Kanfai comes there, who asks Aoning what happened. On which Aoning tells nothing, just my phone has broken. Then Lady Kanfai offers Aoning a ride, and Aoning sits in the car. After which we see that Lady Kanfai tells Aoning, "I will buy you a phone. Which phone do you use?" But Aoning starts refusing for this, and says, "I will get the phone repaired." But we see Kanfai, who looks at Aoning's phone and understands that he has been using this phone for almost 5 years. And she immediately starts taking Aoning from there. Now, in the next scene, we see Aoning, who gets down from the car, and is going to get his phone repaired. And here, Kanfai asks him, "Do you need my help?" But Aoning refuses. And Kanfai starts leaving from there. Then we see Aoning, who is hesitating a lot, and Kanfai also understands by looking at him that he wants to say something. And she asks him what happened after all. But Aoning tells her that on the school forum some people are saying bad things about you. Here, Aoning tells her that people in the campus are misunderstanding you after seeing. Where Kanfai understands his words quite easily, and says, "I understood, I will take care of this matter." And she immediately leaves from there. And before leaving, she is calling someone. Here, before leaving, she was talking on call with a person that she wants to find. Someone. And Aoning had also heard her talk. And he thinks, after all, who is Miss Kan looking for? Now in the next scene, Aoning comes to his class, and he was quite surprised to see that Vihang had also come to class today. He immediately goes to Vihang, and while returning his cloth says, "You can keep it." Here we see Vihang, who takes his cloth, but he immediately starts smelling it, and says, "Did you wash it?" But Aoning gets quite surprised that why is Vihang smelling it after all. Here Vihang, while smelling the cloth, says it is smelling quite good. I mean, the surf you used to wash. It must be quite good. Now in the next scene, we see Aoning is thinking about this scene the whole day. That why did Vihang smell that cloth after all? Then we see Bao, who is looking at Aoning's new phone and asks him, "Did you buy a new phone?" On this, Aoning tells no, my phone had broken, so the mom of the child I teach gifted me this phone. And here, we see Lady Canfi giving this phone to Aoning, but Aoning was refusing for it. But Lady Canfi says, "Do not worry, I'm not giving you any new phone. This is my old phone, only you can keep it." But that small child comes and says, "Keep it quietly, frog face, otherwise my mom will buy you a new phone." So Aoning cannot do anything now. He has to keep it, where Bao gets quite surprised after seeing that phone, because that phone was really very expensive. But then Sengen takes the phone from his hands and tells Aoning, "You should not show this phone to everyone, otherwise people will misunderstand you." On this, Aoning gets confused. Now, Sengen tells Aoning, "You already know what kind of things people are saying on the school forum. That is why you should not show this phone to many people." And Aoning tells him, "I know that people are making up things, but for me, this is just a gift which my student's mom gave me," which Sengen says, "Only we know this thing. School children will not understand you and will blame you wrongly." On which Aoning tells him, "Okay, I understood." Now, in the next scene, we see that their physical education class is going on. And here, the teacher tells them to do exercises. But Aoning had already got tired just by hearing the name. Now in the next scene, we see Vihang's turn comes, and he asks the teacher, "How many pull-ups do I have to do?" On this, the teacher tells him to do 30. Here, all the people start cheering for him, and Aoning thinks these many pull-ups are nothing for Vihang and he will do it in a snap. On this, we see Vihang really goes and does the pull-ups quite easily, and he is not putting any effort in it at all. And he does pull-ups till 29 and then leaves it, where all the people start talking about him, that why did he not complete the pull-ups. The teacher also asks him the same, so Vihang says, "I have already got 90 points for it, so I do not need 100 out of 100. And here the hearts of these poor people break. And here Aoning starts thinking, as I had expected from him, he did the same. Now, the next turn comes to Aoning, and Vihang starts looking towards him. As Aoning is moving forward, Vihang asks him, "Do you want me to hold your glasses?" On this, Aoning says there is no need for this anyway, I will not be able to do pull-ups. And Vihang wishes him good luck. Now, in the next scene, we see Aoning, who was lying unconscious on the ground, because he had become unconscious as soon as he started. Here his friends are supporting him, and here Aoning says, "I have got badly tired." On which Shengyan says, "You had just started, are you so weak?" And Shengyan says you should have refused from the starting itself, and should not have gone. But Aoning says, "I just wanted to see how much I can do." And in reality, what was going on in his mind was that Vihang is watching me, and he is encouraging me, so I have to do all this for him. And seeing Vihang only, he starts doing all this. Then we see in the next scene, there is a girl who finds a very expensive phone lying on the ground, and she starts asking everyone, "After all, whose phone is this?" Then Bao tells Aoning, "That is your phone, right?" Here, Aoning also gets scared that after all, what is his phone doing there? And those girls start checking his phone, and she thinks, after all, who can leave such an expensive phone here? Here, Aoning wanted to take his phone. If he asks for that phone in front of everyone, then people would suspect him and gossip. That is why he does not go there, and we see Vihang because he is quietly watching Aoning. And right here, today's chapter ends.